Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to everybody's favorite show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. This is Nip Talk. On today's episode, first off, Botox tips. Should you be getting your Botox while upside down? There's a plastic surgeon out there saying that you should. And then, high-intensity training and rhabdomyolysis. What is that? We're going to talk about it. And then finally, Sarah's going to tell us about obesity trends in the United States for the past year, and it's all coming up right now.
Live from Lincoln Center in the heart of the Dallas Metroplex, this is Nip Talk, an honest and uncensored show about plastic surgery, health, beauty, and lifestyle, with your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and your co-host, entrepreneur and social media influencer Sarah Bennett. Now it's time to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the topics everyone is talking about. It's time for Nip Talk.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this holiday week. We really do appreciate it. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and with me is Sarah. How are you, Sarah?
So good.
How are the holidays?
Good.
Everything's great?
Yes.
Travis, what about you, sir?
Everything is good.
Everything's good?
Yeah, everything is good.
Nice.
Man.
You guys ready for the upcoming new year, 2025?
Absolutely.
Yeah, ready for the fireworks.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
You go watch fireworks on New
No,
Year's?
you just light fireworks for New Year's, or at least I always do.
Oh, yeah, right. They do big fireworks downtown.
Now
they
they do
do? Yeah.
like drone shows, if I'm not mistaken.
I've never seen a drone show. I've seen them on the social media. I've never seen one in
really?
person.
Are fireworks allowed where you live?
I don't know.
Fireworks are allowed where I live. That's why I say.
Oh, so you set off your own fireworks?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not like big fireworks.
Please
but
be
like,
careful. I'm probably on call New Year's. No, actually, I'm not on call New Year's Eve. But still, be careful.
I
blow
don't
yourself
do
up.
like the crazy ones.
You don't do the big ones?
No, like it's more for just like the kids to mess around with it.
I used to do that when I was young. I loved blowing up fireworks.
Like little sparklers.
Yeah. They do a really big show downtown. In fact, we saw it last year because we went to the New Year's Eve party at Monarch, which is on the 50th floor. And so it's really cool because the fireworks are kind of at eye level with you, which is neat. Yeah. So
very cool.
I like New Year's Eve. You know, we usually go do something every year. And this year, I'm not 100% sure yet what we're going to do. But we usually go downtown, you know, get a hotel and I usually take the 31st off and the 1st. And so I'm not on call. And
yeah, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know if I'll have Avery or not.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Travis, big
if
New Year's
it'll be
Eve
an
plans?
adult one.
No, I don't have anything really big planned. I kind of do want to go see the drone show like downtown.
Is it a drone show this year?
Yeah, they normally do it. I think it was like Reunion Tower, if I'm not mistaken.
Because last year there were fireworks. Maybe there's two things. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Reunion Tower they do fireworks as well.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the drone show. I've seen some of the ones like on social media.
I've only seen a drone. My first drone show was in Denton.
Really?
For like 4th of July.
Was it good?
It's all right.
All right.
It's not as fun as like feeling fireworks
The
like
boom!
in your body.
Yeah, I can see that.
I saw one at the Plano Balloon Festival, I think last year.
Uh-huh.
It was really good though. Like they had big techs. They built a lot of different
They made
characters.
big techs out of drones?
Yeah, it was dope.
Wow.
Wait, I forgot. I went to one at the Frisco like soccer field.
Oh, really?
And they had one that was Star Wars themed. That was really cool. But I think that was more like high tech, more expensive situation than
for sure.
the city of Denton.
Yeah, right. City Denton's not going to have this big one. Well, I'm going to have to go to my first drone show because now I feel left out that I've never been to one.
Mr. Tech Man.
Yeah, my life is like not complete. I mean, I do like the fireworks. I think they're cool, but the drones are also neat because they can do more stuff with them, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe like they should do both, like drones and fireworks.
Yeah.
Although I'd probably blow
Then
up
the
drones.
drones can set off the fireworks.
The drones could carry the fireworks. Now we're thinking,
madhouse.
it's getting crazy. All right, let's move into some segments. Yeah, this first one. Sometimes I'll when I'm doing research for topics, I search different plastic surgery things, and I'll see an article, and I'm like, why is this an article? But then also sometimes I'll want to do that one because it's just kind of silly.
So weird.
Huh? Yeah, because it's kind of unusual. But I can always make it informative, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to right the ship when I just derail this whole segment. When I ask you, should you be getting your Botox while you're upside down? I don't know. This is kind of a wild one. This comes, I know, this sounds silly. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
I assume not. I mean, I'd never heard of this. So there's a New York plastic surgeon, Dr. Barry Weintraub, who's being interviewed. There's an article about it. This is the article that I read. Throw it up there, Travis. Somebody wants to see this great article. Yep. He's a bigwig plastic surgeon reveals his unconventional Botox technique to prevent bruising. So Dr. Weintraub is talking about his groundbreaking Botox technique where he puts patients upside down to prevent bruising because he claims,
okay.
I kind of see where he's going.
I was like, why is this
Yeah, I kind of see where he's going with this. His claim is that when you put people on their head, that all the blood rushes to their head, and you can see the veins easier, and then you're not going to accidentally stab one. I think this is silly.
right off the bat?
Just right off the bat, this is silly. And the reason I say that is because obviously when we're doing Botox, we're not going to stick a vein on purpose. I mean, yes, he's 100% correct that if you are on your head, your blood pressure in your head is going to go up, and veins that are visible are going to be engorged or more visible. But in the reality is that it's not going to make veins that you can't see suddenly visible. When I've gotten bruising from Botox, which happens, and I'm going to talk about some Botox tips, but first we'll talk about, how common is bruising. Well, I tell my patients that bruising is the number one risk. 100% bruising is the number one risk getting Botox because you are getting stuck with a needle. And anytime your skin gets punctured by anything, there's a chance you could bruise. And there are a lot of veins around the eyes, on the forehead. And the thing is, and why I think this is silly, is you can see them, and you obviously don't stick the ones that you can see, but those aren't the ones that get you. When people bruise, it's because you stick, generally it's when you stick like an arteriole, which is like a really, really small artery, like right before they become capillaries, and you're never gonna see those, because those are high pressure.
Not even when you're upside down.
Not even when you're upside down, like it's not gonna make a difference. So I think that this is just, it's just like so many things we've talked about, like on marketing.
Where is he a doctor in?
In New York City. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's a legit plastic surgeon.
Maybe he's just trying to like set himself apart and be like
I don't
extra.
Know. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think so.
It's just trying to be extra.
He's like, oh, I do these extra things to keep you from, and make you feel like you're going to a special. I just don't think it actually works. It's
not necessary.
I almost like kind of feel bad. I mean, I think that maybe he does this, and then people wanted to like interview him, and now this article's out there. He's like, man, I bet other plastic surgeons are making fun of me. I don't know.
But he's just doing it to make his patients feel like extra, like taken care of, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I will. Yeah, and I agree that
good customer service.
Bruising is the number one risk. I just don't think this was gonna. I don't think this would work.
There's no science backing it.
Yeah, there's definitely no science behind it, and the theory behind it of vein engorgement being easier to see. It's like, well, okay, don't stab the veins. I mean, I don't know. So I thought that was kind of an odd article. I don't think you need to get your Botox upside down because I don't think that makes a difference. But I do want to offer some Botox tips. I've been doing Botox now for not quite 20 years. And having been done that long, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on it. And I do have this very loyal following of people because, I have this med spa now and I have multiple injectors. And ideally, it would be best for them to do all the injecting because from a business standpoint, my time is not necessarily well spent getting Botox ready and doing that. It's just there's really no money in Botox, and so I'm better off doing surgery consults or doing surgery. But that being said, I have this extremely loyal following of people who just flat out. Oh, by the way, we have some sample now.
Haha!
I meant to tell you that. Yes, you can come in whenever you want. I have this very loyal following of people who will only let me do their Botox.
Including me now, apparently.
Yeah, apparently now it's you. But
Travis,
I do think that
bandwagon?
Huh?
One more time.
Wait, Travis, you want to?
I said Travis is going to get Botox next.
Travis, I've been thinking about doing it myself, and so I'll go first, and I'll let you know. My office. Oh, I just was talking about this last week or maybe 2 weeks ago about my office manager, and then she happened to be watching, and she chimed in, or you said it. I may try it.
You should try it. You should
Let me
go
try it.
first, and then if I like it,
And you'll be like, oh, you look extra handsome
yeah,
today.
if I vibe with
You
it.
look refreshed.
Trey'd be like, oh, you do look good, man. I come
Right.
by. Hey, Trey, if you want Botox, I'll do it myself for you.
Okay, I got you.
I
appreciate that.
won't send you off to somebody. I'll do it myself.
Okay, right on.
Okay. All right. But I want to give like my.
He's just like, nah.
He's like, no. I don't think
You
Trey
never
likes
know.
needles. You don't like needles, do you?
No, I'm not opposed to them. Like,
Oh,
I'm,
okay,
not,
all right.
I'm not afraid of needles.
Okay.
He likes
Well,
needles for sure.
Wait, there was
Just kidding.
something you just said that you just don't like.
Like-
Oh, it's your eyeball. You don't.
Yeah, I
you
can't
don't-
touch my eye.
Okay, eyeball. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right. Let me
Sarah is so tickled.
let me reel this back in
You're
here.
like, no.
I
don't
promise we
buy
are coming to
needles.
like some actual information. It is going to happen. Okay, so these are my tips for Botox. And, this is not the end-all be-all of tips, but I have done this a long time, and I have like a pretty loyal following people. I do like the Botox brand. There are a lot of competitors out there, Dysport, Jeuveau, Ziminin, and I've actually used them all, I think. I don't think that they're bad. I don't think the competitors are bad. I will say I was able to get more consistent results using Botox brand. I don't know if that's because I just have used it so long and I'm just more familiar with it. I had a few people when I was using some of the substitution brands that would come in and say that they had results that were unexpected, and I don't think it was a technique issue.
Right.
So and to be honest, if somebody's been, say, for example, been using Dysport their entire lives as an injector, then they'd probably be good. But I will say, if I had to pick a brand of neuromodulator that's my favorite, I do like Botox. Like Botox
Yeah.
is a brand.
Yeah.
Everyone calls everything Botox, but Botox is a
What
brand.
would be a reason to not get like the name brand Botox?
I'm not really sure because the pricing, they'll
different.
say it's cheaper, but then you have to buy more units, and it all kind of ends up as a wash for the most part. I do think that maybe some of the competitors are very, very slightly cheaper, but not enough that I would consider.
Not enough for like a successful like med spa plastic surgeon to be like, I'm only doing
Right.
this.
My opinion, there are med spas out there that only use Dysport, for example, but they've probably been using them for a long time, and they're just used to them. Excuse me, I got choked up talking about
Talking too
Botox.
fast?
Talking about Botox, I get
Too
choked up.
passionate about
I'm
Botox?
so passionate, I just get choked up. Okay, I think another big tip, and this one's kind of hard, but you do have to find the right injector. There is a huge variance in outcome with Botox based on who's injecting it. There are a lot of ways to screw this up. Now, when I say screw it up, like you're not going to die, but you may not get as good of a result from one injector to the other.
Yeah.
Like if you line 10 injectors up and say every 6 months you went to a different one and you recorded it, you would probably get some I don't want to say hugely different, but you would definitely get some noticeable variances in how it looked. And, finding the right injector is like finding the right stylist. I mean, I get crazy about stylists. I have a good one right now, and if she retires, I'm going to be super sad. But I think Botox injectors are like stylists. You got to find the one that you meld with very good, and that can meet your goals. And that's my number 3 tip is discuss your goals and preferences with your injector. There are a few ways I do Botox, and I will. So if I get like a new consult for Botox, which I rarely do because I'm trying not to get new Botox patients because we have all the injectors, but I will sit down and tell them, look. If you know what you want, tell me. If you don't know what you want, let me give you what most people like, but then I want you to record what your thoughts are on it, and do you see things you like or things you don't like?
Yeah, tweak it if you don't.
And tweak it, because there are subtle things I do differently from one patient to the other, and it all kind of aims for the goal of making that unique result that each individual patient wants. It's like, remember we were talking about designer breast surgery? This is like designer Botox, except that's not even a real thing. It's just that you're talking to the patient, which you should do, and not just be a cookie cutter and come in and everyone gets the same thing.
Right.
My next tip is making sure you start Botox at the right age. Now this varies because of genetics. I think around 30 is probably the sweet spot, and it's totally fine to start it later you still will get benefit from it, but around 30 is great because that's when people will start to get etchings of wrinkles in their skin. Like no 20-year-old has wrinkles. Not a lot of 30-year-olds do either, but that's kind of when they start to pop up. And if you don't want to have wrinkles and you want to look a lot younger than your stated age, man, Botox is literally one of the easiest things to do to
Prevent
that.
Yeah. All about prevention.
Yeah. How old were you when you started Botox?
Literally last year, so 34.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
You're
but I already look really young for my age.
You do look young for your age.
So,
I think you look young for your age.
yeah.
I concur. Okay, next tip is be consistent. Botox works best if you get on a pretty routine schedule of it. You do need to know that the first times you use it, it doesn't last as long. You know, your body tends to kick it out quicker. The more you use it, the longer it lasts.
Yeah.
And you can get up to using it about every 6 months. But if you use that consistently, you'll just get that much smoother result. Like your muscles aren't like turning on and turning off. Like just kind of keep them dumbed down, and it will definitely give you a more thorough and consistent result. Next, I recommend people be cautious with off-label or unusual uses of Botox. I personally will only do Botox in the 3 classic areas, which is glabella, which is the area between your forehead to prevent the frown lines, forehead to prevent the wrinkles up there, and then the smile lines around the eyes. You get injectors now injecting around the face, around the lips, like there's the lip flip and the trap tox and all this crazy stuff.
What?
I don't like injecting Botox around the mouth because it is not out of the realm of possibility that you could get like a mouth droop, which make you look like you had a stroke. And there's no way to reverse this. I mean, it goes away eventually when it wears off, but in the meantime, you look like you had a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
To me, it's just not worth doing that stuff. And I know some of my injectors are probably mad to hear me say this. I don't see huge differences in the people that get those kind of really, off-label uses of Botox. Personally, on the other hand, I know we have patients that are going to our injectors that are getting these kind of unusual things, and they like them. So take my advice with a grain of salt, I guess. Next, I got 2 more. First off, avoid total forehead paralysis. I do get people that come in and say they want 0 movement on their forehead. I don't like that for 2 reasons. One, if you totally paralyze the forehead, your eyebrows are going to collapse into your eye sockets, and it's going to make you look unusual. Unless you have super high eyebrows. For most people, if they totally paralyze their forehead, their eyebrows are going to be down. Also, too, it takes away your expression.
Yeah.
You need some expression.
To look like a human?
To look like a human, yes. Which leads me to my very last tip about Botox, is don't forget to keep your empathy.
Yeah.
Remember we did the whole segment about Botox and how it makes you lose your empathy? And there actually is some truth to that, although it's pretty small.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are my tips for Botox. Yeah. I was like, how did we get on this Botox? It's because of the upside down.
Yes.
I don't think the upside down thing is real. I think, it's a classic case of someone.
It almost sounds like a bet.
I bet I can do your Botox upside
down.
I do think positioning
challenge.
is important. It's funny. The Allergan people who do the trainings, which I definitely have beef with some of the stuff that they do. They train people to do the Botox sitting up.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I'm like, you lay down, so there has to be a reason why you lay down for Botox.
Well, there's a reason I lay people down.
Yeah.
Is because one, the patient can't get away from me. If you're sitting up and they're doing like this, it makes a moving target's harder to hit. Now, for the most part, people are good, but
I don't want to be hit. I don't want to be.
You don't want to be
poked with
moving, right? You don't want to be moving. The other thing too is, for me, it's just much more ergonomic to inject being over the top of someone. And it's funny because I did my wife's Botox at home. I do her Botox just at my house. We like Botox in the butter dish. And for some reason she was sitting up and I didn't think to reposition her, and I did it with her sitting up, and I was like, I hate this. I do not like this at all. It just feels weird to me. Like my arms were like, I didn't know what to do with my arms. I was just like, I don't like this. And so I told her, I was like, I'm making you lay down the next time. She said, I didn't even know I was doing it differently. So it wasn't like her fault, but it was my fault. But yeah. So position, I think, is important.
Yeah.
But whatever you're
not
comfortable
upside
with.
down.
Yeah.
Not upside down. If
Not
you had the
upside down.
choice.
Upside down.
Yeah.
It's like Mission Impossible Botox. Yeah. All right. Okay, I have a segment I think you might like, Sarah, because it's all about exercising. You could probably teach me about this stuff.
Okay.
All right.
Bet.
Have you ever heard of high intensity interval training?
I do it almost 3 times a week.
Bam! Sarah knows all about it. Have you ever heard of rhabdomyolysis?
Yes, all the time.
Do you know there's a correlation?
Yes.
Oh, well then you are very...
They warn about it.
Do they?
Specifically in CrossFit.
Trey, have you heard of rhabdomyolysis?
I have not. This will be the first time.
All right. Well, you know how much I love educating you on very random topics that you can then talk about at your next Christmas party.
Right.
Everyone gather around and listen to me talk about rhabdomyolysis.
I feel like we've talked about this. Like, I feel like I have. Not specifically rhabdo.
Yeah, we may have.
But I feel like we've talked about the warning signs of like working out to the point of like exhaustion and how it can affect your body. And that's one of them is rhabdo.
I did a deep dive on this.
Yeah.
Because you know I like to bring the best information. So I may bring you some information you don't know. I bet you know a lot of this stuff. Okay, so I didn't even know HIIT. Do they call it HIIT or is it HIIT?
HIIT workouts.
HIIT workouts. It's basically CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
Basically CrossFit.
But it's, I mean, if you go to a personal trainer, they can create a HIIT workout for you. Or
I used to do a ton of CrossFit. I swear to God, I'm gonna get back into it one day.
You should.
Okay, I am. So HIIT is a very popular exercise method similar to CrossFit, but different. It's characterized by short bursts of intense exercise followed by rest or low intensity exercise. And why we're talking about HIIT is because, as Sarah stated, that there is a risk of a potentially life-threatening condition called rhabdomyolysis, which is caused by damaged muscle cells. And if you take the root words of rhabdomyolysis, I'm about to give you all some knowledge. Rhabdo means striated. So striated is the type of muscle that's skeletal muscle, because we do have different muscle types in our body. There's smooth muscle and then striated. Myo is muscle and lysis means destruction. So this is skeletal muscle destruction. This is literally what the word means. And so this is a thing that is seen with these really high intensity workouts. And about 50% of people who get rhabdomyolysis, or I'm going to call it rhabdo. We always, in medicine, we call it rhabdo. So I'm going to shorten it to rhabdo. Yeah. So about 50% of people that get rhabdo, it does happen in those that are doing these extreme exercises, and especially things that they're not necessarily familiar with. The physiology of what is happening is that the muscle gets damaged from whatever you're doing, whether it be lifting the weight or doing the burpees or whatever, and it causes an increase in the skeletal muscle's internal calcium, which then causes the muscle cells to die. Okay, now it's not a huge problem if a couple muscle cells die. We got tons of muscle cells. But if you get too many that die, it releases these proteins into the blood, myoglobin. So in the skeletal muscle, myoglobin is what is the protein that helps the muscle absorb oxygen. Okay, that's what it does. Also, you get an increase in creatine kinase, which is the protein involved in energy production. Remember, we always talk about creatine powder for creatine kinase. When these proteins get into the blood, if it's a little bit, it's not a problem. The kidneys filter it out, and it just kicks it right out, and you're good. However, these proteins are large in comparison to other molecules that might be zipping through your kidneys. And it's like it's like a storm drain. If there's like 1 or 2 leaves that go to the storm drain, they slip right through. When you get like 1,000 leaves that get into a storm drain, suddenly the storm drain gets clogged. And that can happen to your kidneys. And let me just tell you, as a doctor, you can trust me when I say you don't want your kidneys to stop working. No. Because that is bad. That would be kidney failure. And that can absolutely kill you. And so this is similar. Have you heard have you heard of the term DOMS, DOMS?
I have.
You have?
The way you said DOMS, I didn't, that phrase is
I'd never heard this. This is delayed onset muscle soreness.
Yes.
I'd never heard that term.
I swear we have talked about this.
Have we, Trey? Have we? Be the judge. Sarah's saying that we've talked about this, and I'm saying we haven't.
It sounds familiar, but I can't say we talked about it. Maybe we mentioned it or something, but it sounds familiar.
I think I did like an overview of
a side quest.
I think we did it as a side quest on one of our segments.
Like not like overextending yourself when you work out, like something like that. And
it must have been one that you did.
Yeah,
and I probably chimed in about what about rhabdo? Okay.
Yeah.
So DOMS is delayed onset muscle soreness. This is a very mild form of rhabdo. Oh, I ran in the Dallas Marathon last weekend. I was going to say that, and I forgot. Well, it was 2 weekends ago now if you're watching this episode. And so...
You're like almost, did it like make you sick?
I didn't throw up, but I thought I was going to die. Like my muscles just were like, what in the world are you doing? Because I didn't train this year. I normally train for these things, and I got busy with work. And the last time I run was at the end of September, and I was on this marathon team, and I was supposed to run 6 miles, which I did run, and I actually did a pretty good time. I posted a 10-minute mile, which is not bad for 6 miles when you haven't run in months. But let me tell you about how sore I was that night and the next 2 days. I had DOMS.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife thought I was going to get rhabdo. This might be why I thought of this segment. Actually, my friend told me to do this segment. So DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness. So that's the muscle soreness you get from working out. That's just a very mild form of rhabdo. And what the difference is with rhabdo, the pain is not mild or moderate. It's extreme, but it's also at rest. That's the big difference. Like when you have DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness, if you're laying down, like your muscles don't hurt. I mean, I can tell you, I just literally had this, and actually it was pretty bad. When you have rhabdo, you have pain even when you're not moving, and that's the big difference, and it's extreme. You also will get swelling of the muscles, so your legs will, or whatever muscle group you're using, start to swell up, and your urine turns brown.
Yep.
Because you start to see the protein coloring it. And if I start peeing brown, I personally am going to go to the doctor.
Yeah, one of my, there's this thing that CrossFit does, the Murph, every year for Memorial Day.
What is the Murph?
It's like a memorial workout for a soldier, last name.
Oh, that's nice.
Murph, yeah. And it's like, it's a pretty easy workout, honestly. Okay. It's just a lot. But a guy in my CrossFit gym, he got rhabdo.
Really?
And he was so embarrassed.
Was he?
Because like
well, he shouldn't be embarrassed.
To go to the hospital.
I'm going to circle back around to why you shouldn't be embarrassed in just a minute. So let's talk about stats. When do you get rhabdo? Well, 30% of people get it on the same day as the workout, and about 55% get within 48 hours. And there are some very few rare cases of delayed onset rhabdo, like 5 or 6 days later. It's most common in males. And it's most common in people under 40 years old. About 75% of people that get it are under 40 because those are people that are doing these crazy workouts. This is why your friends should not be embarrassed. It is very rare in elite, like professional athletes, because their muscles are conditioned to not take that much damage. But it is very rare also in untrained athletes, like people who've never worked out, because they can't push their muscles that hard to get it.
So you have to be like right in the middle.
Yeah, to be in the middle. Like you're not like a pro athlete, but you're not like a scrub either.
Yeah.
You're like legit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise your muscles won't be able to get there. Other increased risk factors, regular athletes, which we talked about, BMI greater than 30, so people that are like a little beefy. If you're training multiple muscle groups, which makes sense, like the more muscles that you damage, the more likely you are to get rhabdo. Extreme temperatures, if it's really hot. I'm not sure how physiologically that works, but that's what a lot of these research papers said. Not staying hydrated, that's huge. If you're not, and the reason for that is your kidneys can filter things much, much better when you're hydrated.
Yeah.
If you're dry, meaning you're hypovolemic, like your kidneys are working harder. And this one, I bet you didn't know, there are 2 medications which dramatically increase the risk of rhabdo: the statin drugs, so that's like the cholesterol medications, and then antipsychotics.
Interesting.
And I think a lot of these people have to be psychotic to do these crazy workouts, so that might actually be important.
I think it's like, because you said men, when they are more likely to get it, men are so, like, they're so, I don't know, they push themselves really hard on workouts, more so than they should, a lot.
Right. Well, men are
the ego.
Between men and women, men are much more likely to do something dumb, like work out way longer than they should. I mean, that's
or just lift heavier, like lift a weight that's like way too heavy and do it.
Yeah. When you look at like the chart of life expectancy and like men and women, and it's like there's a reason that there's a gap there. Like we're not always making smart decisions. So I applaud you for your longevity. All right. How common is this? Well, it's actually pretty rare.
Yeah.
There's 40 cases per 100,000 population per year. So that's a way that diseases are or stats in medicine are talked about like how many per 100,000 people in a year, so 40. But there's been a dramatic increase in the incidence of rhabdo in the past decade, 4 to 12 times, depending on what study that you're looking at.
That makes sense.
Right, because these workouts are more popular. Yeah, that's obvious. That's the reason. So how can you decrease your risk? Well, one really important thing is to keep hydrated. You're much more likely to get it if you're dehydrated. Gradually increase the workout intensity as opposed from going to like nothing to something extreme. And listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body, people. If your body is dying like I was when I was running that 6 miles, don't keep running like I did.
I think I almost got rhabdo whenever I was in college. I tried out for a cheerleading team when I went to Georgia Southern. I made the cheerleading team when I was at UNT, but
Wow. I didn't know that.
But I was a gymnast and a cheerleader in high school, and I was I did gymnastics every single day.
So you were a cheerleader at UNT?
For like a hot minute, and then I quit.
Oh,
I never got to cheer at a game or anything. I went to cheer camp and all that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I never got to cheer. But when I moved to Georgia and I got into that school, I was like, oh, I'll just try out for the cheerleading team, thinking that I could just do all the stuff that I normally did. No, like I could do the stuff, but it was like a 2 or 3 day workout, pretty much, and it was wild. And I had to lay in bed because I was so sore.
Yeah.
I almost think I was like getting sick.
Yeah, you may have had like in between DOMS and rhabdo.
It was bad. It was horrible.
All right, listen to your body, people. That's the important take home. Okay, Sarah.
Yes.
You're going to tell us about some interesting information out about.
Yes, let me get my notes out.
Obesity in the United States.
Yes. Some quick updates, some trends about Ozempic that we've
talked about Ozempic a time or two.
Yeah.
Once or twice. Okay, what's the trends?
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
Okay, so right now, let me pull up that first one. Yes, obesity dipped because of
that is very
Ozempic.
That's actually pretty big news.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's really cool.
I didn't know that, and that's actually very important. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so for the first time in over a decade, U.S. adult obesity rates have slightly decreased, dropping from 46% in 2022 to 45.6%.
It's a start.
Yeah,
That's good.
1%-ish.
Hey, it's good. I mean, that's a start. We've talked about.
It's a big problem. It causes obesity is the root of a lot of diseases here.
For sure,
and that's what we're known for. In the United States.
It's directly related to hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and diabetes, which those two things have dramatic negative effects on almost every aspect of your health.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's
It's
really
crazy.
good. And so they think that it's because of Ozempic.
Yeah, the decline is partly attributed to the increased use of weight loss drugs such as Ozempic and Wegovy, which has seen a 700% rise.
I 100% agree with that. I've seen so many patients, and I just had a girl in my office this past week, and we do the semaglutide shots there, and she lost 50 pounds in 6 months. And she's so happy. She's just ecstatic.
And that leads me to the next part of that article was the people that saw the most weight loss were women because they're the ones that are mostly taking it.
Yeah. And I think it's, we've talked about society puts pressure on women to look a certain way.
And the age group is 66 to 75.
Is the biggest percent?
Yeah.
Wow.
Where the use of the medication was the highest.
Oh, where they got the biggest benefit.
Yeah, they were the ones that were using it the most, which makes sense because I feel like diabetes starts getting prevalent, and doctors need to treat it and get it under control.
I will tell you, in my practice, I see surprisingly more men than I thought I would. We have quite a few number of men taking semaglutide and getting great results. Yeah, it's pretty wild. That drug is. I've talked positively about it many times, and I still am saying the same thing. So far, I'm all on board.
Yeah. And they were saying in this article, while this is really great and it's awesome that this is happening, that obesity is still very...
it's still prevalent.
Yes.
Yeah, sure is.
So it's I mean, it's obvious from that barely 1% that went down.
I would say that, in my opinion, if you can lose weight the traditional diet and exercise way, I would obviously recommend doing that over taking any type of medication. Okay?
Yes.
That being said, That's much easier said than done. And it's been clearly defined in the literature how much your health improves if your weight is a little bit closer to ideal body weight versus being like in the obesity. And if you can't do the diet and exercise, I really do think that the semaglutide like Ozempic, Wegovy, and all those is a fantastic way to do it.
Yeah.
And we have experience with patients using it, and it's all been good.
Yeah, personally, I feel like if I was having trouble losing weight and it was like getting to me mentally, I feel like taking Ozempic or a semaglutide would just be that extra like pat on the butt,
works.
Just to like get you going.
Yeah,
and
totally. And
you
when
feel
you
good
lose
about
a little
yourself.
bit of,
and just to make you feel good about yourself.
And that's exactly what I was just going to kind of come around to, is when you start to see yourself lose that weight, it just inspires you to keep going.
Gives you that confidence.
Yeah, it gives you confidence.
And you're like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I won't eat that today, or maybe I will go work out today instead of, the normal thing.
And the other thing I would say about these drugs, there is now a ton of data out that shows the importance of the health benefits. Like the one study I always talk about is that for obese people who are taking semaglutide products, they have a 77% decrease in sudden all-cause mortality, meaning sudden death. 77% decrease in sudden death versus the same exact population that's not taking the drugs.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's an enormous difference.
The other weird thing or crazy thing about this article was that it like went broader, and how this increase in taking Ozempic and decrease in obesity has also correlated. I don't know how it correlates, but they were saying it correlated with it. The positive health trends that aligns with are the decrease in drug overdoses, traffic fatalities, and murder rates. And I'm like, how did they make that connection? I just thought that was crazy.
See that. We did a segment on the decrease in overdoses and why we think that is the case. There were reasons out there.
Mentally things.
Well, it's like, so many people have died. There's less people taking drugs, and there's like been more outreach because of the surge in deaths. So there's like more preventative stuff. I'm not really sure that
I thought that was
Ozempic
weird.
is responsible for less drug overdoses or car crashes. I'd have to see that. Yeah. Well, that's really good information, Sarah. I really thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I did not know that statistic about the decrease in obesity. That's really good, and we'll have to follow that one and see how it goes, because it is very important to our health as Americans to see that go in the right direction.
And whenever I was looking at all, like I found another article about Ozempic, and since it has the increase of taking Ozempic has happened. This article,
fake drugs.
Yeah, this
Counterfeit
article
drugs,
came out. This article came out about this woman in Tennessee selling it. She was like selling it like a drug dealer, like out of her
ones?
House.
Was it legit?
Yeah, it was like, I think they were like ones that you give like animals.
Testing,
testing, like the tester.
Well, it's like that girl. It was
semaglutide.
Kate Moss's sister who got Ozempic off the street, and she was taking like a huge dose, and she ended up having seizures.
Bad side effects from it.
Yeah, let's just kind of say, if you are going to take one of these medications, please go see a doctor. We actually do a formal consult when people want to take these drugs and make sure it's done safely. They are very, very safe, but you need that proper education by a doctor or licensed healthcare professional to make sure that it's safe. So, cool.
Yes.
I love it. All right. Thank you, as always, for educating us, Sarah. We really do appreciate it. I think that's about all the time we have for this week on Nip Talk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please leave us a comment, smash that like and subscribe button, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.